Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will discuss some of the important cyanotic congenital heart diseases. I will discuss tetralogy of Fallot with TET spell, transposition of great arteries, truncus arteriosus, hypoplastic left heart syndrome, tricuspid atresia, pulmonary atresia, Epstein anomaly, and total anomalous pulmonary venous return. First is the tetralogy of Fallot or TOF. It is the most common cyanotic congenital heart disease in children who survive infancy. Four components of TOF include right ventricular outflow tract obstruction, ventricular septal defect, overriding aorta, and right ventricular hypertrophy. Now, prenatal factors associated with TOF include maternal rubella or viral illnesses. Right ventricular outflow tract obstruction determines the degree of shunting. In minimal obstruction, there is left to right shunting with increased pulmonary blood flow, and this leads to congestive heart failure and no cyanosis. In case of mild obstruction, pressure between the right and the left ventricle is equal. Thus, there is no net shunting and this is being TOF. In case of severe obstruction, there is increased right to left shunting across the ventricular septal defect, and there is decreased pulmonary blood flow, and this leads to cyanosis. Clinical features include failure to thrive, variable cyanosis, clubbing. On precordial examination, there is right ventricular impulse, occasional thrill, loud single second heart sound, loud systolic ejection murmur at upper left sternal border with or without ejection click. Squatting is a common posture in older unoperated children with TOF, and it often occurs after exercise or playing. Squatting causes trapping of desaturated blood in lower extremities and increases systemic vascular resistance, while right ventricular outflow tract obstruction remain fixed. Thus, it decreases right to left shunting, increases pulmonary blood flow, and increases arterial oxygen saturation. In TOF, TET spells are common. They usually occur at 2 to 6 months of age. As the right ventricular outflow tract obstruction increases or the systemic resistance decreases, right to left shunting across the VSD and cyanosis increases. Now, TET spells usually occur in the morning or after a nap when systemic vascular resistance is low. Precipitating factors are stress, drugs that decrease systemic vascular resistance, hot bath, fever, and exercise. If the TET spell is prolonged or severe, then there may be syncope, seizures, and cardiac arrest. Patients with TOF younger than 2 years are susceptible to cerebral thrombosis, usually in the cerebral veins or dural sinuses, and occasionally in the cerebral arteries, as a result of extreme polycythemia and dehydration. Now, patients older than 2 years have increased risk for brain abscess. Chest X-ray findings in TOF include boot-shaped heart with normal heart size, decreased pulmonary vascular markings, and a right aortic arch in 20% of cases. In ECG, there is right axis deviation and right ventricular hypertrophy, and echocardiography is diagnostic. Treatment of TET spells: calm the child, encourage knee-chest position, oxygen inhalation, IV fluids if dehydration, IV sodium bicarbonate if metabolic acidosis, and morphine subcutaneous injection of about 0.1 to 0.2 mg per kg. If no response to previous measure, then give phenylephrine, propranolol, or ketamine. Other measures include correction of anemia, correction of pathological tachyarrhythmias, and infusion of glucose. Now, treatment of TOF, patient clinical status may prevent definitive repair initially. Shunting, that is Blalock Towson shunt, is often used when pulmonary stenosis is severe and an alternative route for blood to reach the lung is necessary. Now, complete repair includes VSD closure, relief of right ventricular outflow tract obstruction, ligation of shunts, and ASD or patent foramen ovale closure. Now, the transposition of great arteries or TGA. It is the most common cyanotic congenital heart disease presenting in the neonatal period. This lesion occurs when in development of the heart, primitive heart loops to the left instead of right side, and following result: aorta originate from the right ventricle, pulmonary artery originate from left ventricle, aorta is anterior, and pulmonary trunk is posterior. In TGA, right and left hearts are in parallel. Pulmonary venous return is via pulmonary artery, systemic venous return is via aorta, An AST or VST is essential to allow mixing. A PTA alone is usually not sufficient to allow adequate mixing. Now the features of TGA with intact ventricular septum. There is early cyanosis, a single loud second heart sound and no murmur. An intact atrial septum or very restrictive patent foramen ovale is a medical emergency. ECG will be normal initially but will demonstrate right ventricular hypertrophy by about 1 month of age. Chest X-ray findings include egg on string appearance with mild cardiomegaly, narrow mediastinum normal to increase pulmonary blood flow. In this case, patient is ductal dependent and will require prostaglandin E1 infusion to keep PTA patent. Early balloon atrial septostomy is necessary to allow mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Now, arterial switch procedure is definitive and it is usually performed within first 2 weeks of life. Now, TGA with a ventricular septal defect. Symptoms are related to increased pulmonary blood flow, which may lead to congestive heart failure in early infancy. Now, this patient may have little cyanosis. A holosystolic murmur of VST is present. ECG shows prominent P waves, right or biventricular hypertrophy. Chest X-ray shows cardiomegaly and increased pulmonary vascularity. Treatment of TGA with VST include balloon atrial septostomy to decompress left atrium and if VST does not allow adequate mixing. Pulmonary artery band to control increased pulmonary blood flow. Arterial switch with VST closure is the definitive treatment. Next important cyanotic congenital heart disease is truncus arteriosus. A persistent truncus is a single arterial trunk that emerges from ventricles and supplies coronary, pulmonary and systemic circulation. Truncal valve has 2 to 6 leaflets and is usually poorly functioning. Truncus ovarized a ventricular septal defect and receive blood from both ventricles. Symptoms usually occur within first few weeks of life. Initial left to right shunt symptoms include dyspnea, frequent respiratory infection, failure to thrive, heart failure, and mild cyanosis. If left untreated, pulmonary vascular resistance increases with decreased pulmonary blood flow and cyanosis become prominent. On examination, heart is enlarged and precordium is hyperdynamic. Second heart sound is prominent and single. There is wide pulse pressure, strong and bounding peripheral pulses, and a systolic ejection murmur at left sternal border. Often early systolic ejection click can be appreciated. Chest X-ray shows cardiomegaly and increased pulmonary vascular markings. Right-sided aortic arch is present in 50% of cases. ECG shows right ventricular hypertrophy, left ventricular hypertrophy or combined ventricular hypertrophy. Echocardiography is diagnostic. Now the treatment of truncus arteriosus. Infants are initially managed with anticongestive medication. Surgery is indicated within first few months of life before patient develops significant pulmonary vascular disease. VST is surgically closed, leaving valve on the left ventricular side. Now pulmonary arteries are freed from truncus and are connected to a valve conduit, which will serve as a new pulmonary trunk. Next cyanotic congenital heart disease is hypoplastic left heart syndrome. It is the second most common congenital heart disease presenting in the first week of life and is the most common cause of death from congenital heart diseases in the first month. Now defect consists of following: aortic valve hypoplasia, stenosis or atresia, hypoplasia of ascending aorta, left ventricular hypoplasia or agenesis, mitral valve stenosis or atresia. Now this results in a single ventricle that provide blood to the pulmonary system, systemic circulation via PTA and coronary system via retrograde flow after crossing PTA. Now pulmonary venous blood passes through the AST or patent foramen ovale from left to right side of the heart where it mixes with the systemic venous blood. Now this lesion is ductal dependent and it requires patency until intervention is undertaken. Now the clinical features: skin may have grayish blue color because of cyanosis and poor perfusion. All peripheral pulses may be weak or absent. On precordial examination, there is hyperdynamic right ventricular impulse. Second heart sound is single and loud. Gallop may be present at apex if there is heart failure, and a non-specific systolic murmur is present at left sternal border. Chest X-ray finding in hypoplastic left heart syndrome include cardiomegaly with globular shaped heart, increased pulmonary vascular marking, and pulmonary edema. ECG shows prominent P waves, right ventricular hypertrophy, and reduced left ventricular forces. An echocardiogram shows the lesion. Now, untreated patients usually succumb during the first month of life. Preoperative management of hypoplastic left heart syndrome include correction of acidosis, hypoglycemia, and prostaglandin E1 infusion. Surgical therapy include Norwood procedure, which consists of 3 stages. In stage 1 of surgery, atrial septostomy is done. Pulmonary trunk is used to reconstruct hypoplastic aorta. Right ventricle subsequently becomes the functional left ventricle. This leaves pulmonary arteries connected but separated from the heart. Pulmonary blood flow is then re-established via synthetic aortopulmonary shunt that connects aorta to the main pulmonary artery. In stage 2, Glenn procedure is done at 2 to 6 months of age. In this, superior vena cava is connected to pulmonary arteries, thus restoring partial venous return to lungs. Stage 3 is done at 2 to 3 years of age, in which modified Fronton procedure is performed. In this, inferior vena cava is anastomosed to pulmonary arteries. This results in complete venous diversion from systemic circulation to lungs. Now, cardiac transplantation is an alternative treatment of hypoplastic left heart syndrome, but there is chronic risk of organ rejection and lifelong immunosuppressive therapy. Now, next important cyanotic congenital heart disease is tricuspid atresia. In this, no outlet from the right atrium to right ventricle is present. AST or VST is usually present. Entire systemic venous return enters from right atrium to left side via patent foramen ovale or AST. Now, pulmonary blood flow depends on the size of VST and severity of pulmonic stenosis. Now, patient with moderate degree of pulmonary stenosis present with cyanosis within first week of life, while patient with large VST and no or minimal right ventricular outflow tract obstruction present with heart failure and only mild cyanosis. On precordial examination, there is increased left ventricular impulse, a hollow systolic murmur at left sternal border. Second heart sound is single. Chest X-ray shows normal or slightly enlarged heart size and pulmonary undercirculation. ECG shows left axis deviation, left ventricular hypertrophy, right atrial enlargement or combined atrial enlargement. Treatment include prostaglandin E1 infusion to maintain ductal patency, aortopulmonary shunt, that is modified Blalock tossing procedure to increase pulmonary blood flow. Then Glenn procedure at 3 to 6 months of age, in which anastomosis between superior vena cava and pulmonary artery is made, and later modified Fontaine procedure at 1.5 to 3 years of age, in which anastomosis is made between inferior vena cava and pulmonary arteries. Another important cyanotic congenital heart disease is pulmonary atresia with intact ventricular septum. In this, there is no egress of blood from the right ventricle and blood regurgitates back into the right atrium. Now, right atrium pressure increases and blood shunt via patent foramen ovale into the left atrium and mixes with the pulmonary venous blood and enter the left ventricle. In newborn, only source of pulmonary blood flow is via PDA. Clinical features include severe cyanosis and respiratory distress within hours or days of life, hypotension, tachypnea or acidosis, single and loud second heart sound. Often there is no murmur or systolic or continuous murmur of PTA or holosystolic murmur of tricuspid regurgitation may be present. ECG shows tall spiked P waves, left ventricular dominance or hypertrophy, decreased right ventricular forces and occasionally right ventricular hypertrophy. Chest X-ray shows normal to enlarged right ventricle with decreased pulmonary vascular markings. Echocardiography is diagnostic. Now the treatment. Initially, prostaglandin E1 infusion is given to maintain ductal patency. Surgical options include reconstruction of right ventricular outflow tract with transannular patch or pulmonary valvotomy, or interventional catheterization, in which imperforate pulmonary valve is punctured with wire or radiofrequency ablation and is followed by balloon valvuloplasty. Now, AST is left open to prevent systemic venous hypertension. Next cyanotic congenital heart disease is Epstein anomaly. In this defect, tricuspid valve is displaced apically in the right ventricle. Valve leaflets are redundant and adherent to the ventricular wall, often causing functional pulmonary atresia. Now, right atrium is frequently the largest structure as a result of tricuspid valve regurgitation. Cyanosis result from atrial right to left shunt through the patent foramen ovale or atrial septal defect. In Epstein anomaly, growth and development can be normal in milder defects. Older patients usually complain of fatigue, dyspnea, palpitation, cyanosis, and polycythemia. Jugular venous pressure may be increased due to tricuspid insufficiency. On examination, there is widely split S1, fixed split S2, variable S3 and S4, and a characteristic triple or quadruple rhythm may be present. There may be holosystolic murmur of tricuspid regurgitation over anterior left side of the chest and a scratchy diastolic murmur at left sternal border. There may be an opening snap. In severe defect, newborns have marked cyanosis, massive cardiomegaly, and a long holosystolic murmur. Without intervention, congestive heart failure usually occurs in the first 6 months, and there is 50% mortality. ECG shows right axis deviation, right atrial enlargement, right bundle branch block, and Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome may be present with episodes of supraventricular tachycardia. Now, on chest X-ray, there is massive cardiomegaly, especially box-shaped heart or wall-to-wall heart in severely affected infants. Echocardiogram shows the lesion. Treatment include tricuspid valve repair or replacement, closure of ASD, ablation of any accessory conduction pathway, Glenn procedure in which superior vena cava is anastomosed to pulmonary arteries. This is done to increase pulmonary blood flow and it is known as 1 1/2 ventricle repair. Now in neonates, treatment include closure of the tricuspid valve with placement of an aortopulmonary shunt and conversion to a single ventricle physiology. Another cyanotic congenital heart disease is total anomalous pulmonary venous return. In this, no communication exists between the pulmonary veins and left atrium. Now, this type of lesion could be supracardiac, cardiac, infracardiac or mixed type. In supracardiac lesion, pulmonary veins drain into left superior vena cava or right superior vena cava. While in the cardiac lesion, the pulmonary veins drain into coronary sinus or right atrium. Now, in the case of infracardiac or subdiaphragmatic lesion, pulmonary veins drain into inferior vena cava, portal vein, ductus venosus or hepatic vein. Now, in these cases, an atrial septal defect is needed for survival. TAPVR is more common in males. Now, presence or absence of obstruction of the pulmonary venous return changes the clinical presentation. Now, TAPVR with obstruction. It is more common in infracardiac lesion. Obstruction leads to increased pulmonary congestion and pulmonary hypertension that increases right atrial and ventricular pressure, and this causes a right to left shunt. Now, patient present with early severe respiratory distress, cyanosis, and hepatomegaly. There is usually no murmur. ECG shows right ventricular hypertrophy and tall and spiked P waves. Chest X-ray shows small heart and perihilar pulmonary edema. Echocardiogram shows the lesion. Treatment include immediate corrective surgery or extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. Now, TAPVR without obstruction. In this, free communication exists between right atrium and left atrium, and a large right to left shunt is present. Patient present later during first year of life with mild failure to thrive, recurrent pulmonary infections, tachypnea, right heart failure, and rarely cyanosis. Now, systolic murmur is present at left sternal border and a gallop rhythm may be present. Now, chest X-ray shows cardiomegaly, especially snowman sign or figure 8 sign. There are large pulmonary arteries and increased pulmonary vascular markings. Treatment includes surgical movement of pulmonary veins to the left atrium. Okay friends, thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel.